not have found time to go back and do like search for similar questions, but I would like to suggest that you can find such questions in previous year's papers. Okay, so keep looking for such questions. And today we'll be starting with the new chapter, which is reproductive health. Now this chapter, reproductive health, is basically at the end of the reproduction unit. So we studied about reproduction in plants, then we studied about reproduction in humans, right? Both sexual, and in plants also asexual, correct? We also studied in lower organisms the asexual modes of reproduction. Now reproductive health is associated to humans, like whatever we studied in chapter 3. Chapter 4 is about understanding and realizing that the female and the male reproductive system, the hormones associated, and every structure that has a function in the system, what is from a health perspective, what can go wrong in them. Okay, so in this chapter, if you see, the name of the chapter is reproductive health. Now let's begin with these two words. So it has two words, reproduction and health. So can you tell me what do you understand by reproductive health? When I say health, health of what? What do you think is reproductive health?
Reproductive health is basically the health related to our reproductive system or reproductive parts.
So is it? Yeah, tell me.
That's great.
So is it? Do you think it's just about the reproductive parts, which means the reproductive organs? In which case, my question to you is, why are we studying it as a different health? We can just say it as a physical health. If it is about the gonads, let's say testes and ovaries, or uterus, penis, so it's just a body part, right?
Yes.
So it will not just be the health or the well-being of the physical parts associated in the reproductive system, right? It's something more than that. You understand?
Yes.
Now, reproductive health is the overall well-being. It's not just the physical well-being or of the parts or things like that. It is the overall well-being, from the perspective of reproductive processes in a human. Okay, so write down reproductive health. Reproductive health includes the overall well-being of a human from the perspective of reproduction. Okay, and yes, it includes, this is where you have to understand, it includes physical, right, which you said, the health of the parts. There should not be any disease in the reproductive structures, right? So it includes physical, mental, emotional, and social well-being of a human. In order to be reproductively fit. Now, is it written?
Yes.
Now let's pay attention here. It says physical, mental. So physical we understand, right? Because there are gonads, there are organs associated. So physical health is important, of course. But how does mental and emotional well-being also comes in reproductive health? Can you tell me?
Due to some mental cases, maybe a person is not physically
Mhm.
uh,
So you meant to say that the person is physically fit, but if mentally unstable, then also the
right.
reproductive health decreases, right?
Yes,
The person is not able to reproduce in a healthy manner, right?
yes, yes.
Yes, correct. And how does emotional health comes into picture?
So same as like if
But there are two
uh,
different words, right? Mental and
yeah,
emotional.
mental emotion, emotional like um, emotion.
Let me give you an hint.
Yes,
Remember, there are hormones associated with the reproductive system. Yes.
yeah.
So what do hormones do? When
They
females,
change her emotion. They change emotions. Yeah,
they change moods, right? They
moods.
can put females in a very different mood during menstrual cycle, especially when the hormones they peak up, right?
Yes,
So emotional or behavioral changes, for example, even in case of males, under the effect of testosterone, males undergo sexual drive, right? We discussed that for many
yes,
animals and also for humans. So emotional well-being is also very important, right? Stress. Remember we talked about stress being a reason for delayed menstrual cycle or arrhythmic menstrual cycle in females.
yes,
So
sir.
if a female is not emotionally healthy, she will also not be able to carry out the reproductive cycles in a healthy manner, because these reproductive cycles are governed or are regulated by hormones. And when emotion or emotional fluctuations happen, hormonal fluctuations also happen. Correct?
Yes.
And what do you understand by social well-being? It has to
Social well-being.
be well-being.
Some illegal practices are done related to this reproductive health part, which is not socially accepted.
For
Uh,
okay, by illegal
so,
practices you mean?
uh,
So there are many stigmas, taboos, and
yes,
malpractices, yes, associated with reproductive health. For example, before, like, not very far back in time, people always, and still, like people who are not educated in rural areas, people always blame females for a girl child, right?
yes,
And they also blame females for not producing a child, right? Because they do
yes,
not understand that male could be equally responsible, because male can also have issues like oligospermia or not being able to produce sperms, etc. Males, whereas, like, they seems to be very normal because they produce semen, they have all the sexual drive and everything, but the point is there is the sperm count is low, so that can affect fertility, right? And always the social well-being is important, because if society is not aware about, for example, related to contraceptives also, society is not very accepting, very understanding. Do you understand, Zed?
yes, yes.
So all these factors, all these parameters basically affect your reproductive health. Okay. Just 1 minute. Nafura has joined us. Am I audible to you, Nafura? Am I audible and visible? Nafura, am I audible and visible to you? Can you speak up?
Sir, it's me, Naura.
Oh, it's Nora. Okay. I see different names, so I get confused. How are you, Nora? You missed last class. Why?
Sir, I was busy.
Okay. So we have started with the fourth chapter. Okay, Nora. We have just started it. We were discussing the first definition of reproductive health. Okay. So please write it down and participate. Okay. Okay, so me and Zad were discussing about the different parameters, the aspects that affect reproductive health. They are physical, mental, emotional, and social as well. Okay, right, Zad?
Yes.
Correct. Now, before moving forward, let's go to certain concepts that we want to study for this chapter. There's something known as the birth rate. Any idea what is birth rate, Nora, Zad? What do we mean by birth rate? Birth rate. What is rate, Zad?
Uh, how many childrens or how many
Yeah, how many kids
kids
are born in a given time?
yeah.
Yeah, you can say per month, per year, per day, whatever it is, but it has to be a time. So anything over time is rate. Okay.
Yes.
So birth rate is the number of live births per year in a country. Okay. Now, birth rate, do you think the birth rate is increasing or decreasing these days?
Increasing.
Increasing, right? So first let's define birth rate. Write down birth rate is the number of live births per year in any given region. Okay, or country. Now birth rate has increased, as you correctly said, over time. And what are the factors that affect birth rate and has led to the increase? What are the factors that affect birth rate? Why has it increased?
So decline in MMR.
What? Okay, and what do you mean by MMR?
Maternal mortality.
Yes,
That is,
so factor affecting birth rate is, write down, first of all, better medical assistance, right?
yes.
Better or improved medical assistance or infrastructure to pregnant females, right?
Yes.
Now, if this is good, then this will lead to decreased maternal mortality rate. This is MMR, right?
Yes.
Now, maternal mortality rate is where females die during the pregnancy or during childbirth. Okay, if we cannot provide them with good assistance or good medical treatments or good medical procedures. So decreased maternal mortality rate has led to increased birth rate, right?
Yes.
Because if mothers will survive, they can give birth to babies. Babies also used to die very frequently just after birth. Okay, so the infant mortality rate, write down, infant mortality rate has also decreased. Okay, is it clear?
Yes.
Now the babies just after birth, can be provided with good vaccinations, treatments if they get an infection, and proper care and nutrition, right? So by providing all of this, we can prevent a lot of infections or diseases in the newborn babies, and hence they survive. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So both maternal mortality rate and infant mortality rate has decreased, because of which birth rate has increased. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, birth rate, if not controlled or not regulated, can lead to something called population explosion. What do you understand by the term population explosion? What does it says?
Overpopulation related
Yeah,
to like
overpopulation. Yes, overpopulation is a result of population explosion. But what is population explosion? There is population expansion. How it is different from population explosion?
we can say rapid increase in size of population.
Yes, and this rapid increase, basically, that you are saying, you're correct. So if we see in a given region that the population is increasing, but is not very steeply increasing, it is increasing slowly over time, which is sustainable, right? A slow
Yes.
population, or where like old people are dying and new people are getting born, and then they are becoming adults, and then there is basically a balance between the population. So that is stable population. And some no population basically is stable these days. Population is always rising. But if that rise is very steep, like if you see that within a span of few decades, the population of a region has grown twice or thrice, then it is known as population explosion. And this has happened to countries like India and China. Okay. So write down population explosion. It is the sudden and rapid increase in population of a given region within a few decades. Okay, which means 1 or 2 generations, not more than that. You understand?
Yes.
Is it clear, Zaid and Nora?
Yes.
Nora, is it clear to you as well?
Yes.
Okay, good. So apart from birth rate, there is another thing which is known as death rate. Now this you can tell me very simple. It's simple now. What is death rate?
Increase in infant mortality rate and can we say that?
No, death is just simply death rate, like how many individuals are dying in any given region per the total per a fixed amount of time, right? So deaths include both natural deaths and deaths due to diseases, accidents, etc. But people are dying, right? It includes mortality rates of the mother as well and of the infants as well. But apart from mothers and infants, old people normally and naturally also die, right? There has to be a
Yes.
death rate of a given population if there is a birth rate. Okay, so you can write down number of, this is death rate is number of individuals, number of individual dying due to natural or artificial causes. Natural, or instead of artificial, write down there is no artificial cause actually. Natural and what can I say? Accidental
Accidental.
cause. Yes. Natural or accidental causes. Per year in a given region or country. Is it clear?
Yes.
Now, what has happened to death rate over time? Has it increased over time or has it decreased over time? What do you think?
It
I'm
is
talking about
decreased.
generally. And why do you think so? Why do you think it has
Uh,
decreased?
I think it varies from region to region. As accidents in some accidental prone areas, more deaths are happening, and the other places they are having hospitals, so less people are dying. So
Yeah, but see, death rate overall in general has decreased over time
yes,
because we are able to save more lives. Earlier, for example, let's take an example of the current pandemic that the world is going through, right? There have been pandemics in the world before this one, right?
yes,
Those pandemics have taken more lives than this pandemic, which is like on a very large global extent it has spread, but still the number of lives that are lost, though they are like very large, but still not as large as it could have been if the medical technology or medical assistance was not developed like it is right now. Okay, so earlier when any pandemic or epidemic used to happen or any disease used to just spread, a contagious disease, then people used to die like without any help because there was no medicines, there was not enough technological advancement to help them with. Like just let's say around 150 years ago there was no antibiotic in the world, so any bacterial infection, if it takes over the body, was very difficult to treat, and people used to die by just simple infections in their body. Yes,
yes,
nowadays we cannot like we don't think that it's uh, like it's not very normal that people die due to simple infections. So we can cure a lot of infections in body through antibiotics and drugs and other therapies that we have. So death rate, write down, overall has decreased over time. Has decreased over time due to better medical and therapeutic technologies. Okay, therapeutic means which helps us to treat. Now, birth rate has decreased. Sorry, death rate has decreased, and similarly, maternal mortality rate, infant mortality rate has decreased, and birth rate has increased. So that's why this is giving rise to a population growth. So population is always growing. Okay, it's not like, but the point is the pace, the speed at which population is growing has to be regulated and controlled, because no country or no region on the planet can afford or can sustain so many humans that, like, with respect to resources. So the resources are limited: food, shelter, and other resources that are required, goods and services are limited, right?
yes,
So birth rate, death rate is clear.
yes, sir, clear.
Reproductive health is clear. Now coming to the question that if, let's say, if everyone is, if everyone's reproductive health is good and if everyone is fertile, what do you think? Is it a good thing? If everyone can reproduce, if everyone is reproductively healthy, and can reproduce and produce a lot of offsprings. Is it a good thing? Is it a healthy scenario for the ecosystem?
Yes, sir.
No, it's not. Because
No,
if
no, no.
everyone,
These two criteria, like they are reproductively healthy, but they are
yeah,
not producing offsprings.
yeah,
So in both criteria, they will be like it will be okay.
yes. So see, being reproductively healthy is a good thing, like you said, it's good. But with that, we also have to make the masses aware and educated to plan their offsprings, to plan their kids. So there's something known as family planning. Okay.
Yes.
So what is family planning? Where the parents give birth to their babies or offsprings in a planned manner. Okay. And when you're saying planned manner, then basically we are talking about the decision has to be parents that when they want the baby. Basically, they are deciding when they want the fertilization to happen. Correct?
Yes.
So in other words, we are basically controlling the birth. So it's called birth control methods. Yes? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
So for family planning, birth control methods are important. Is it clear?
Yes.
Now let's try to understand what are different birth control methods. So what do you think? What are the different birth control methods? Any idea?
There are three types of birth control methods. First is natural, then comes surgical, and some are like therapeutic.
Yes. So what you are saying is yes. So before that, let's just define birth control methods. Tell me, how will you define it? What is birth control methods? Or what is birth control basically? Which is important for family planning. How will you define it? Write down. It is the regulation of conception. You know what is conception? Regulation of conception. Conception means when the female conceives and fertilization is positive and she becomes pregnant and goes through gestation period. So regulation of conception. So birth control methods means you are regulating, you are controlling the conception. Okay. By preventive measures, by preventive measures or devices known as contraception. Is it clear?
Yes.
So conception has an opposite term called contraception. Contrasting to conception. Conception is pregnancy, contraception is avoiding pregnancy, and that is how you control the birth, and that is how family planning is done. Is it clear?
Yes.
Now, contraception, let's use another color and try to understand. Contraception basically can be divided as the methods are either it is a temporary method or it is a permanent method. Right? This is what you were telling, Zaid, right?
Yes.
Now, if it is a permanent method, what do you mean by permanent methods of contraception?
It will be surgical methods.
Yes, it will be irreversible. The first thing is that it will be irreversible. Correct?
Yes.
So permanent methods are surgical methods and they are irreversible. Now, if you have to permanently fix the problem for fertilization and pregnancy, then there are two ways. The first is called vasectomy. What do you think vasectomy means? Vasectomy is
removal of vas deferens.
it's
and,
cutting. You
okay.
don't need to remove it. See, where will you remove it? Cutting and tying together of vas deferens. So if you make a cut in vas deferens and the two, so this is vas deferens, you make a cut and then you tie these two things separately. So by this way, you are basically taking off any possibility of sperms being transferred or transported from the testes into the semen, right? Because they move through vas deferens. Am I correct?
Yes.
So that is vasectomy because vas deferens is being cut. Okay, clear?
So I want to ask a question, like why they cut? Why don't they just tie it?
Why don't they tie it? They can also tie it. So if in cases, say tying is not irreversible, then it may not be irreversible. When you tie it, basically you are tying a knot and you are not allowing sperms to go from one part to another. In between, you are blocking it. And then you just, when you remove the knot, then after that it becomes reversible. But it's not reversible all the time. There may be some growth or development related issues that may happen after years. And the second thing is, tying sometimes can also fail because still the duct, the vas deferens is one, right? It is connected. You have just tied it. Is it making sense? There's still chances that, so the foolproof way to make a permanent contraception is you cut it and then you tie both the ends, because when you cut it, you are making sure that no sperm, even if it leaks, even if it somehow manages to go, it cannot go from one part to the other because they both are cut. So it cannot be present in the semen. Do you understand?
Yes.
Why? Yeah. Second one is tubectomy. What do you understand by tubectomy?
Fallopian tube is removed and then cut. It is cut and then tied.
There's no need to remove it totally.
Yes.
Because if you just cutting and tying it, let it be there, because it's a long tube. If you have to remove that, you also have to remove uterus, right? Or make some sutures there. So you just cut and tie fallopian tube. What is the other name of fallopian tube? Oviduct. Remember this other name, oviduct?
Yes.
Now these two methods are surgical, irreversible, and permanent methods. They cannot be reversed back. Now there are many myths associated with these two things. Write down few questions about it, which may come in your school exam. My first question is, if you do vasectomy or tubectomy, will there be any effect? Write down, will there be any effect on the sexual drive or sexual arousal of the individual, both male and female? Tell me. Think about it. Think about the answer and then tell me. Nora, are you there?
Yes.
So what do you think? Will there be an effect of surgical methods, if we cut and tie the vas deferens and the oviduct, do you think there will be an effect on the sexual drive or sexual arousal of either male or female?
No.
No? Why? Why do you think so?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, then why? Why? The question is again, why do you think there will be an effect? When we are cutting vas deferens and or when we are cutting and tying fallopian tube, what is not allowed? The transfer of gametes is not allowed, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
But why do you think, what is the reason behind sexual arousal or sexual characters, sexual maturation? Is it because of the sperms or the ovum? Or is it because of hormones?
Hormones.
Yes, right, perfect. It is because of the hormones. And if it is because of hormones, then when we are cutting these two pipes, vas deferens and fallopian tube, are we preventing the flow of hormones in the body?
No.
No, right? Remember spermatic cord? What was spermatic cord, Nora? Any idea what was spermatic cord? It was a bundle, right? Spermatic cord was a bundle which contains vas deferens. It also used to contain blood vessels, lymphatic vessels, nerves, and cremaster muscles, right? Yes or no? We are only cutting and tying the vas deferens and the fallopian tube. But still, the testosterone, which is produced in the testes, or estrogen, progesterone, which is produced in the ovaries, can still get circulated in the body. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. And under the effect of these hormones, every other activity, sexual activity, will be normal. It's just like the uh, the individuals have become sterile. Okay, Zed, am I audible to you?
Yes,
I think you
yes.
lost connection. Yeah. So we were discussing, me and Nora, that will there be any effect? My question was, will there be any effect on the sexual activity, sexual arousal of any individual after vasectomy or tubectomy?
No, sir.
No.
As the glands are there only, so no.
Yes, but we are cutting the connection between the gland, right? But actually, it's not true. We are only cutting the pipeline which transfers gametes so that there is no fertilization. Is it correct?
Yes.
Still, the hormones can be produced and still the hormones can be circulated in the body. Correct?
Yes.
Because they are circulated through blood vessels and we are not cutting and tying any blood vessel from the testes or from the ovaries. So the sexual activity will be completely normal and there will be no effect on that after vasectomy and tubectomy. It's only that after permanent methods, the individuals become sterile, right? They cannot produce
Yes.
offsprings after that. Now, the permanent method is clear to both of you.
Yes.
Now coming to temporary method. Now tell me, what do you understand by temporary methods? You were saying something there before that.
So, like, we can use natural traditional methods,
Okay.
like
So we can, yes.
pregnancies, as we can like during some days of months or yeah, during some days of months, there is a time period between ovulation. So it is about like 10 to 17 days. We can wait till that time.
Yeah, so
Mm.
yes, wait for what? For the fertilizer, like to not allow sperms enter the female tract, right?
Yes.
So the first kind of temporary methods are natural methods. In natural methods, there's something known as, which you are talking about, Zaid, we call it the safe period, right?
Yeah.
Or we also known as, this method is also known as the rhythm method. Because in this method, basically we are relying on the days, the safe days of menstrual cycle, the safe period of menstrual cycle. Tell me, what is the safe period of menstrual cycle? During which period reproduction or fertilization is least likely?
10th to 17th day.
No, 10th to 17th day it is most likely, Zed. I'm asking least likely because on 14th day ovulation happen.
Yeah.
So 3 days before and 3 days after is the most risky phase. Fertilization is most likely to happen because ovum is present. All you need is sperm at the right place at the right time. But what is safe period?
After 17th day?
Safe period is the very beginning, like when the bleeding phase is there, right? During the bleeding phase, from day 1 to day 5, 6, there cannot be, or till like day 7, 8 also, there cannot be fertilization and implantation. Yes, because there is no ovum and also there is no endometrium. Everything just broke down and got flushed out. Am I correct? So that period, and after let's say 21st day, like the last week, during that time also the chances of ovum being at the right place to get fertilized is very less. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So that those periods are called safe periods in the menstrual cycle, the safe zones. Okay, very early and very late. So those safe period or rhythm method can be used. So if you use this period, then pregnancy can be avoided. Okay, even after sexual intercourse. Is it clear, Zed?
Yes.
What you are talking about is called periodic abstinence. It is opposite of the safe period. What do we mean by abstinence? Absence. Okay, so periodic abstinence happens between day
10 to 17.
10 to, yes, 17 or 18, let's say. Day 10 to 18. During this, there should be abstinence, like sexual intercourse should not be allowed or preferred because this is the most risky period. You can write down. Day 10 to 18 is the most probable period for fertilization to occur. So if during this period sexual intercourse is avoided, then the chances of pregnancy can be decreased or lowered. Correct?
Yes.
The third natural method is known as withdrawal method. Withdrawal method. It is also known as coitus interruptus. Is it clear? Now write down. In withdrawal method, the male partner withdraws the penis from the female tract, right before ejaculation. Okay, so the whole point is to not transfer sperms in the female tract, and to avoid that, you have to avoid ejaculation into the female tract. Do you understand, Seth?
Yes.
So that's withdrawal method. Okay, is it clear to you as well, Nora? Am I audible? Please ask if you
Yes.
have any doubts. Yeah. And the last one is called lactational amenorrhea. Now this is amenorrhea. Now lactational amenorrhea means that, write down what it means. Lactational amenorrhea is the duration after childbirth. Remember in the last class we discussed that after parturition what starts?
Lactation period.
Yes. And when lactation is happening, when heavy lactation is
Menstrual
happening,
cycle is stopped.
yes. So just after childbirth, for the next few months, female system does not undergo menstrual cycle or ovulation. Now that period where the female system is using all its energy to produce colostrum, the milk, which is called lactation. So during that period, the reproductive cycle ceases. It switch off. That's called lactational amenorrhea, absence of reproductive cycle during lactation after childbirth. Okay. So write down lactational amenorrhea is the absence of menstrual cycle and ovulation. Absence of menstrual cycle and ovulation for around 6 months after childbirth. For around 6 months. Now this is not a very fixed thing. It fluctuates, it differs. Okay. But during lactational, write down, during lactational amenorrhea, the chances of fertilization is very, very low. Almost nil. Okay. Is it clear?
Yes.
Now there are some, so natural method has some issues. First thing is that all these 4 methods have very high chances of failure. Can you tell me why?
Sometimes they are not accurate.
Yes, because all we are relying on is our calculations of the menstrual cycle of the female, like in safe period. But what you are calculating as day something, it might be possible that the ovum is present there and you are not considering it, right? Chances that sperm may survive for a few days and ovum might come. So in all these, basically it's a very subjective method, right? And whenever there is subjectivity in any method, then chances of failure increases. So in natural methods, there are high chances of failure. But what the good thing is that there is no side effect. There is no side effect because there is nothing, no chemical, no device, no drug which we are using from outside, right? That's why there is no side effect. But there are high chances of failure. Is it clear?
Yes.
And there's one more thing. Yeah, I think that's all. And the natural methods, write down, natural methods of birth control do not prevent STDs. You know what are STDs? STDs.
Sexually transmitted diseases.
Yes, they are called sexually transmitted diseases. So the second method in the temporary one are called artificial. So these are artificial methods, not natural. And if they're artificial methods, we have devised something for this, right? Either a drug or a medicine. Now the first one in this artificial method is barrier method. Okay. This we are talking under temporary. Is it clear?
Yes.
Both of you? Now barrier method includes, write down, barrier method includes first thing condoms and femidums. Femidums are female condoms. And write down these are rubber or latex. These are rubber, they are thin. These are thin rubber and latex sheath used to cover penis or vagina during sexual intercourse. Is it clear?
Yes.
Now the most important thing that you have to remember about the first barrier method, which is condom and femidums, write down. These are the only methods. These are the only contraceptive methods that can prevent STDs. Is it clear?
Yes.
There is no other method apart from condom and femidums. Not even the other barrier methods. So there are other barrier methods as well. What are the other barrier methods? They are called diaphragms, cervix cap, and vaults. Okay. These are also barrier methods. Is it clear?
Yes.
But how are they different from condoms and femidums is that diaphragm, cervix cap, and vaults all are small membrane, like a sheath or devices which are inserted in the female system. So all these three condoms are for males and femidum is for females, but diaphragm, cervix cap, and vaults are for females. Is it clear? For females only. And even these barrier methods, they do not prevent STDs. Is it clear?
Yes.
Because why do they do not prevent STDs, and why does condoms prevent STDs? Because, write down, only condoms and femidums as a barrier method. Only condoms and femidums as barrier methods prevent the exchange of reproductive fluid or body fluid. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So these are barrier methods. All are clear, right? Now next in the artificial method only, I will be talking about IUDs. You know what are IUDs? They are called,
Intrauterine devices.
yes, they are called intrauterine devices. Now, as the name suggests, they are intrauterine, so they are only present where? In female system. They can be used in female system, right? Inside the uterus. So write down intrauterine devices. Intrauterine devices are placed in the uterus and provide contraception. Now tell me, do you think IUDs can prevent STDs? Can IUDs prevent STDs?
No.
No. Right, so write down. IUDs cannot prevent STDs. Okay.
Yes.
I hope I am clearly audible, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Now write down IUDs can be of three types. IUDs can be of three types. And for all the three, we have to understand the concept and the name of the IUDs. So the first type is called non-medicated. Non-medicated means there is no medication or drug associated with this IUD, which it is releasing or secreting. So non-medicated IUDs. And in this you have to remember an example. It's called lips loops. Loop. Okay, this is a non-medicated IUD. Is it clear?
So what is the role of this?
So basically it is not secreting something which is directly killing the sperm, but it's like a loop which acts as a hindrance. You understand? So if you cannot kill the sperms because you do not have any medication or drug to do that, then you can delay their progression. Yes.
Yes.
So it is basically made up of, you can write down because you have asked, let me tell you some details on this. The detail will not be asked, but because you asked, so write down. Lips loop is made up of plastic. It's inert plastic that does not react in the body. Okay. And it is a S-shaped device. Okay. It is also known as a double S loop. Lips loop is also known as S loop or double S loop. So this is the shape of this device. You understand? Does it looks like a double S? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. Now what happens is it basically fits properly in the uterine cavity because of its shape. Okay. And
It's
because of its fitting, it basically reduces the incidence of expulsion in the uterus.
oops.
Okay. So if you put IUDs, then it actually does not allow the uterine cycle to happen very well. And because the uterine cycle is not happening, the endometrium is and the uterus is stayed as it is, then you can actually prevent fertilization, right? Because the next cycle will not come up and there will be no fertilization. You understand? So they're not directly killing the sperms. They're just not allowing the uterus or the uterine cavity to expulse. Like there's no expulsion from the uterus. Is it clear? Because of lip slope. This is how they work basically. You don't need to remember this because it will not be asked, but you should know it, right? Okay, Zaid? Is it clear? Shall I move forward, Zaid? Or do you have more questions? Am I audible, Zaid? Hello? Nora, am I audible? Zaid and Nora.
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Good. So the next type is copper releasing. Copper releasing IUDs. Okay. Now, as the name suggests, what it is releasing, Nora? Copper, right? They release copper ions. And tell me, is copper ions an anion or cation? Nora, copper ions, are they anions or cations? They are positively charged, right? Yes, so they are cations. And copper releasing IUDs are Cu7, which is called copper 7, and CuT, which is known as copper T, very popularly known as copper T. And there is one more known as multi-load. (375). Is it clear? These three are the examples. Okay, Nora?
Yes.
So this is copper releasing IUDs, and write down how do copper releasing IUDs function. Write down. The released copper ions, the released copper ions reduce the motility and viability. The motility and viability of the sperms. Is it clear, Nora?
Yes.
So this is how copper releasing IUDs function. And then there are third ones called hormone releasing. Hormone releasing IUDs. As the name suggests, they are secreting hormones when they are placed inside the uterus. And the examples are LNG20 and Progesterone. These are the two examples. LNG20 and Progesterone. And how do they function? Write down. Hormone releasing IUDs majorly secrete progesterone or progesterone estrogen combination. Is it clear, Nora?
Yes.
Now, if they are secreting progesterone, tell me what will happen. High levels of progesterone does what to a female system? What happens when the levels of progesterone are high? Any idea? Remember,
No.
what secretes progesterone in a female system? Remember, during menstrual cycle, which structure secretes progesterone?
Corpus luteum.
Yes, perfect. Corpus luteum secretes progesterone. And when progesterone is secreted, what is the function of progesterone? Can you tell me? There lies the answer. So what does progesterone do? Is the level of progesterone rising before ovulation or after ovulation?
After.
After ovulation, right? And what does progesterone do? It increases the thickness of the endometrium, right? The endometrium, which was formed by estrogen, progesterone increases the thickness of endometrium. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it also maintains the endometrium. So it maintains the pregnancy. Yes. And if the levels of progesterone remains high in the system, will there be a bleeding phase and will there be another ovulation?
No.
No. So high level of progesterone keeps the system in a secretory phase. Am I correct? So it
Yeah.
keeps, yes, and it cannot go back to the bleeding phase. Yes. Zed, you're back. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Me and Nora are discussing about the third type, which is the hormone releasing IUDs. Okay. So the
Yes.
second type, I think you missed the second type as well. So the second one is the copper releasing IUDs. Okay. Just to give you a quick recap.
Copper 7, CU7 and
CU7,
and
CU7
multi-load
375.
7.
Yes, copper T is very, very popular and common. And how does copper IUDs, releasing IUDs function? So the copper ions which are released,
Phagocytosis.
yes, they reduce the viability of the sperms, motility and viability. So if motility and viability is decreased, then of course the sperms will not be able to evade the immune cells. They will not be able to run or save themselves. So their phagocytosis will increase, right?
So, anti-presence of like copper ion, the sperms are killed like that. So the sperms
Yes,
can be killed.
yes, and this is the reason why they can be killed, because copper ions reduces their motility, their speed, and their viability, their ability to fertilize. So if a sperm is now not able to move vigorously, can it protect itself from, let's say, macrophages or other immune cells?
No. Sir.
No. So it will be killed, right? It will be
Yes.
trapped and killed easily. Okay. So that is what copper releasing IUDs do. And then me and Nora were discussing that hormone releasing IUDs, which is the third type. The two examples are LNG20 and Progestasert. They majorly secrete progesterone or progesterone estrogen combination in the uterus. Now tell me, when does, so I asked Nora, when does the progesterone levels come up? And she said that they come up post ovulation through corpus luteum, which is correct, right? And when progesterone levels come up, it maintains the endometrium. It increases the thickness and it maintains the endometrium. Yes or no?
Yes.
Correct? Yes. So the endometrium does not disintegrate and does not break down. So if progesterone levels stay up, will there be a ovulation, next cycle and ovulation? No. For ovulation to happen, the level of progesterone has to go down, then another cycle has to begin, then estrogen has to come up and make the endometrium again, then LH and FSH peaks and there is a ovulation, correct? So high levels of progesterone gives a false signal to the system that the system is in a post ovulatory phase, or like in a pregnancy phase where it does not ovulate again. You understand? So if there is no ovulation, then there will be no fertilization. Yes?
Yes.
So write down hormone releasing IUDs delay or stop ovulation. Okay. And because they are hormones which are being secreted, write down, they also make the uterus and the cervix hostile to the sperms. Okay. Basically, this is spermicidal. It starts killing sperms. Make sense?
Yes.
Yes. All the three types of IUDs are clear to you? Everyone? Both of you? Zaid and
Yes.
Nora?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let me go to the third type. And after IUDs, the third type is, what all did we do? We did IUDs, we did barrier methods, natural methods. Yes.
Sir, oral.
Yes, there is oral methods. A, B. The C one is oral. Oral contraceptive. Now these oral contraceptives comes as pills. They are like tablets which can be orally taken, right? That's why they are called oral contraceptive pills, OCP. Now oral contraceptive pills, things that you have to know about this method is, it is the only method. So this method is the only method that can be used as an emergency contraceptive. What is an emergency contraceptive? An emergency contraceptive is which can be taken after the unprotected sexual intercourse, okay, where no other method was used and now there is a chance of pregnancy. Then after that unprotected sexual intercourse and before a given time point. Okay. So for how long sperms can stay alive in the female system? Tell me. Zed and Nora.
Sir, 48 hours.
Yes. So around 48 hours sperms can survive, right? And in that 48 hours only, if a sperm is in the system, then those 48 hours are the most crucial where it can undergo fertilization. It can do fertilization. And the zygote and an embryo can be formed, yes?
Yes.
So if within that 48 hours, if those sperms can be killed, okay, so that there is no fertilization happening, then it can, there is still a way to rectify the mistake. Yes. So that's called an emergency contraceptive. So oral contraceptive pills are the only method which are also used as emergency contraceptives. Normally, oral contraceptive pills have two modes. The first one is regular mode, where 21 days cycle is followed. So 21 days cycle is followed, where each day female takes one pill for 21 days. And this 21 days starts from the second week, 6th day onward. Why 6th day onward? Can someone tell me? From day 1 to day 5, there is bleeding phase happening, right, Zed?
Yes.
Anyways, in that phase, there cannot be a fertilization. Can there be a fertilization and implantation during bleeding phase?
No.
No, it's not possible, right? So after that, from 6th day onward, from the second week onward, there are still 3 weeks, right? Till 28 days. So 21 days, the female takes this pill. So write down, in regular mode of OCP, oral contraceptive pills, it is a course of 21 days where the female takes one pill each day. One pill each day. Okay. And these pills contains a combination of progesterone and estrogen. Okay, so they are called combined pills. Is it clear, everyone? Zaid and
Yes.
Nora? Nora, am I audible? Is it clear? Yeah. This is called combined pills, where the combination is used. And another mode is an advanced one, which has been developed by it has been developed in India, which is known as Saheli. Saheli is once in a week pill. Okay. So
Yes.
instead of taking one pill each day for 21 days after the bleeding phase, female decides a day of the week and takes one pill every week on the same day. So it's once in a week pill. It is advanced version of the regular mode. Okay, is it clear?
Yes.
Now, when talking about the emergency contraceptive, in this case, write down, it should be taken before 48 hours of hours after. Before 48 hours after unprotected sexual activity. If you take it after 48 hours, the chances that it will work is less. Okay?
Yes.
Because already it's an emergency situation. And second thing is, what came to my mind? Yes, second is, it can lead to heavy bleeding. You know why it can lead to? Sorry?
It is a type of side effect here.
No, it
Heavy
is.
bleeding.
No, it is the mode of its functioning. So to get rid of, if any pregnancy has happened, so you would like to just induce a cycle. abruptly. So there was a cycle, but now taking these pills can induce a cycle. Like again, the endometrium starts breaking and everything flows apart. That is the way. And also, as a side effect, females feel more weaker, and these pills are spermicidal in nature. You can write down. They are
Yes.
spermicidal. Can you see this?
Yes.
So the emergency contraceptives are spermicidal in nature. Whereas the regular or the Saheli mode, like once in a week or a regular mode, how do they function? Write down. Functions. So there it is an emergency. You have to kill the sperms and you have to get rid of the endometrium. Okay. But this one functions as through. First thing it does is it inhibits ovulation because there is progesterone and estrogen combination. Correct? Make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Write down. It inhibits ovulation. And second thing, it also inhibits inhibition of secretory action. Secretory action of oviducts. Okay. So whatever oviducts were secreting to help the ovum and the sperms, it is no more secreting it. And because these are producing hormones, just like the hormone secreting IUDs, when you take these pills, when females take these pills, it makes the cervix hostile for sperms. Okay. Is it clear?
Yes.
And it also, write down, it also makes the endometrium unable. Endometrium is unable to allow implantation. So this way we are just making sure that no chances of fertilization or pregnancy is there. Okay, so that's why oral contraceptive pills are very, very successful as contraceptive methods. Is it clear?
Yes.
Now, because these artificial methods like oral contraceptive pill or IUDs or barrier methods, they are all artificial methods. There is one more artificial method known as implants, about which I will talk shortly. But because all these methods are chemicals, right? They are either chemicals or devices which are inserted in the female system, correct?
Yes.
So they have side effects, okay? But they have very less chances of failure. You understand?
Yes.
Is it clear, everyone? They have
Yes.
less chances of failure, but they have side effects. Now, yes, let's also talk about implants. So write down the another method is implants or injections. So what are implants? You know what are implants?
Some implants they put under the palms, like the arm area, the armpit area.
Yeah, so basically they are subdermal, under the
Yes.
skin. You write down implants are basically hormonal implants They are basically hormone releasing implants that are surgically placed subdermal under the skin, bracket subdermal. Is it clear? Now these are very long acting because their release is slow and they are long acting. They are long acting method. Is it clear?
Yes.
And one most important example is, which you can remember, is levonorgestrel. Levonorgestrel is an implant. And what are the hormone? It is a, again, combination of progesterone and estrogen. Make sense?
Yes.
But now it is slow releasing and long acting, and it can be inside the skin subdermally or under the armpit for years and will continue to provide contraception. So no pregnancy will happen. Do you understand?
Yes.
So all these methods are clear to you, methods of birth control. We have finished the methods of birth control.
Yes.
Yeah. So go through all the methods, go through all the notes of today, and let's take a quick 2-minute break. I just need to get some water. Okay, and I'll be back. Okay, Zed and Nura. If you have any doubts, you ask me. Just take a quick 2 minutes break. Yeah. Okay. Okay, Nora and Zaid, am I audible and visible?
Yes.
Yes. Any doubts? Anything that's confusing? Everything is clear?
Yes.
Yes, Zaid? Anything you want to ask? Are you there, Zaid?
Yes.
Yes. Anything you want to ask, Zaid? Is everything clear?
So clear.
Yeah. Okay. So moving forward from methods of birth control, I would like to discuss another concept with you, which is important for this chapter, and that's uh, embryonic sex determination. You know, this is a major issue. Can we determine the sex of a developing embryo? Can we do that?
Yes, sir. With the help of amniocentesis.
Yes. So there is a technique through which it is done. Write down. Embryonic sex determination is done through technique called amniocentesis, right? CENTESIS. Now, what is amniocentesis, Zed? Any idea? How do we do it? Like, how do we figure out the sex of the baby? How is sex determined in humans? Tell me. Human sex determination. How is it done?
Some amniotic fluid is we can take from the mother's womb.
Mhm.
Then
What is amniotic fluid?
amniotic fluid is a fluid in which surrounds the fetus in the ovid
In the womb,
in
in the
in the
uterus.
womb.
Yes, right. So this fluid, you are saying that we need to take some of this fluid, right? So how will we take this fluid?
With the help of needle, I mean
Syringe,
inject.
like yeah, you're right. Not needed, but yes. So we just need to take some fluid. But how will it serve the purpose? What will the fluid tell us?
Uh,
You take the fluid, then what will you look for in that fluid, which will tell you about the gender of the baby?
chromosomes.
And where are these chromosomes present? Where did they came from? I thought chromosomes were present only in the nucleus of a cell, right?
Yes.
And you are talking about some fluid. It's not connecting, right? So it's more important is not to just know what's happening from NCERT or any line of any book. Important is to make, like, you have to apply logic and realize that the argument is making sense to you. So you said, and you are correct, you're not wrong. You said that we need to take fluid. Yes, right. And look for chromosomes. Again, correct. Because in human, the sex determination is done by the 23rd pair of the chromosome known as allosome, right?
Yes.
So allosomes is X or Y. So if it is X and X, like from mother also the zygote got X, and from the father also the zygote got X, then this will develop into a female,
Maybe.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Homozygous.
And if it is X and Y, then it will develop into a male,
Maybe.
correct? So you're right. We have to look at the allosome, which is the 23rd pair, right? In our genome. Rest others are called autosomes. This is the allosome, or it is also known as the sex chromosome. Yes. So we have to look at the sex chromosome and we will get to know whether the zygote is male or female, correct? But my question is, where did these chromosomes come from, which we are looking at? If we are taking out fluid, how did we find out chromosomes? Any idea, Zed?
Close.
In this amniotic fluid, write down the amniotic fluid that surrounds the embryo, contains free floating loose cells that got detached from the developing embryo. Is it clear?
Yes.
So as there was division and development of embryo, some cells, which is very common, right? Some cells might get detached and they are freely floating in the amniotic fluid, right? So if you take that amniotic fluid and if you get any cell, then that cell is from the embryo, right? It cannot be from the mother. Yes,
Yes.
it is from the embryo. And if it is from the embryo, then it will have a nucleus and it will have chromosomes in that nucleus. And all we have to do is look for the sex chromosomes, correct? And we will get to know whether that developing embryo is going to be a male or a female. Now, this process of amniocentesis, through which sex determination can be done in embryonic stage, is illegal in many countries. Do you know why it is illegal in many countries?
Female feticide.
Female feticide. Yes, to prevent female feticide. So first complete, let's complete this. So amniotic fluid that surrounds the embryo contains free floating loose cells that got detached from the developing embryo. These cells can be screened. These cells can be screened for the chromosomes to figure out any chromosomal abnormality, and also to determine the sex of the developing embryo. Is it clear?
Yes.
So this is how it is done. Will it be in your head now, Zed? You will not forget it, right? Because now you know the concepts. Yeah.
Yes.
But it has some good advantages also, like we can get to know of the chromosomal abnormality, right? For that reason, it should be used, right? But what should not be allowed is the determination of the gender, of the sex, right? And this is exactly what is done. So write down amniocentesis for the purpose of sex determination is illegal in India and many other countries. To prevent the incidence of female feticide. Okay, is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, now along with amniocentesis, you also need to know. So amniocentesis, you understood that it is not always like done for like misusing. It can also be used for chromosomal abnormalities. And if you know any chromosomal abnormality happening in the embryo, right at the very early stages, you can decide to terminate the pregnancy, right?
Yes.
And that is known as medical termination of pregnancy. You know what is medical termination of pregnancy? Basically aborting the pregnancy medically. Medical termination of pregnancy. In your books, it's known as MTP. Okay. Now, tell me, is medical termination important or is it not important? Like sometimes there is no option, right? But medical termination has to be done. Can you tell me under what situations medical termination of pregnancy has to be done and should be allowed? Zed, write down the question first. Under what conditions? Under what conditions or under what circumstances the MTP is allowed? Tell me, Zed.
So if there are some cases like if the mother is like having some case was there.
If the mother is
not able to if we can take like if the mother is not healthy, then
okay,
then one case was there.
healthy in what? Yeah, if the mother is not healthy, she will not go for pregnancy, right?
Yeah.
But let's say the mother is healthy and she went for pregnancy, then can MTP be allowed for any reasons?
Yeah, there is a reason. If the premature embryo is if the embryo is like having any disease like through
So if
the parents, then
so if there is any if there is any genetic disorder, right, or any chromosomal abnormality
or mutation, right? Yeah.
So if you figure this out, that there is a chromosomal abnormality or a genetic disorder, for example, Down syndrome, right? If there is a Down syndrome, in that circumstances, MTP is allowed at very early stage, right? And what is the other reason? What do you think, Zed?
If the mother is not healthy, then in such case we can abort the child
instead of saying if the mother is not healthy, what if I say if the continuation of pregnancy, write down.
Can lead to the death of fetus, then
Yes, if the continuation of pregnancy is detrimental or fatal, right?
yes,
Is detrimental or fatal to the mother. In that case, MTP should be allowed, right? You cannot just risk mother's life because she's already a living organism. Any other reason for which medical termination should be allowed?
so in the case of premature death of fetus, it is like not a MTP.
Yeah, it's not an MTP because we are not terminating pregnancy. The pregnancy is already terminated, right? The baby is dead. So it's just like taking out that. But in case of forced pregnancy, forced pregnancy means in cases of sexual assaults, right?
Yes.
The victim may get pregnant. In that cases, MTP is allowed. Or unplanned pregnancy in early stages. Then a female, by her consent, can go through MTP. Okay.
Yes.
So these are the, yes. Now MTP, the very important thing is MTP is allowed only before
12 weeks.
Yes, only before 3 months. I should use 10 weeks. Why it should only be allowed before 12 weeks?
Sir, after that, the fetus is developing and it develops many organs, such as heart.
So what? Yeah, that is one thing that now it's more like a life form. Yes, that continue.
So it is having a life, and if we kill it, so it will be murder. So we don't
yes,
allow.
like so there are legal issues, there are ethical issues, yes. But more than that, there is also a medical issue. The medical issue is after the first trimester, the fetus is very well developed. Remember, I told you in the last chapter that by the end of first trimester, by the end of 3 months, almost all major organs are formed. Yes. And the embryo, the placenta, is very, very strongly connected, right? And the placenta also grows in size. So now if you terminate this pregnancy through drugs or through physical methods, it's also detrimental to the mother. It can cause harm to the mother. You understand? So after first trimester, write down. After first trimester, the MTP, or we call it in normal terms, we call it abortion, is risky for the mother. Okay. And of course, there are ethical and legal issues that you also talked about, Zed. So is this clear? Is this question clear to you?
Yes.
Is there any doubt? So let's stop at MTP today. I'll continue from here, from MTP, and I'll go to sexually transmitted diseases and infertility. So in the next class, we will try to wind up this. This is a short chapter and it just has these facts and very few concepts. And we have to start genetics as soon as we can. That is a very concept heavy and a very long unit that we have to do. So please revise this till MTP and let me know if there is any doubt in the next class. Okay, Zaid and Nora. And please be regular, because genetics is one thing. If you miss classes of genetics, it will be difficult for you to catch up or follow. Okay.
Yes.
Zaid, Nora, any doubts? Both of you?
No.
No doubts? Okay, then see you in the next class. And in the next class, before when I'll finish this chapter, I also conduct a test in the class. Okay, it will be an in-class short test of half an hour, 20 marks. Okay, Zaid and Nora. So just revise whatever we have done till now. Okay, done.
Okay.
Remember about the test. Class
When will you
test.
conduct? Day.
In the next class. In the next class. So next will be Tuesday, right? We meet on Tuesday and Thursday. So on Tuesday, okay, Nora? Coming Tuesday.
Sir, can you conduct it on Thursday? We have our unit test